There's something special about your love. I think I'm ready to find. There's something special about your love. I'm gonna make you mine. There's something special about your love. I think it's one of a kind. There's something special about your love. I want it all the time. You will always be my inspiration. No one makes me feel the sensation. Don't play hard to get my temptation.
Hello creative minds, welcome back to the channel. So feel free to fold your fabric into two and mark along with me, but I'll be using a pattern paper for clarity's sake so everyone can be able to see what I'm marking. So you just go ahead and fold your fabric into two. Now the width of my pattern paper is my round lap divided by 2 plus 8 inches allowance. Now my round lap is 28, divide that by 2, I get 14 inches plus 8 inches. That means the width is the 8 plus the 14, which is 22. Now the length of my trouser, my A-line trouser, is going to be 47 inches. Though the pattern here is just 40 inches, I'm going to be cutting the actual length on the fabric. Now from the beginning of the pattern paper, from this part of the pattern paper, the beginning here, I'm just going to mark out 3 inches, and this is just for me to be able to get the flay I want. Now this 3 inches is just acting as the allowance in case I need to, go into, for me to be able to get the flay I want. I'm marking 3 inches. Now if you want this to be fuller than what I have, if you want your own A-line to be fuller than what I have, you should mark 4 inches, 5 inches here, allowance first, before marking your actual measurements. So just go ahead and take the allowance you need to get the flay you want. Now the next thing I'm going to do is mark my hip point. The first thing on the pattern paper, the first edge there is acting as the waist, and now I'll place the tape from the edge there, the beginning here like this, and go down and mark my hip point. So if you have your fabric, all you have to do is fold your fabric into two, mark in the allowance you want for your flay. If you want it to be wider than mine, mark 4 inches, 5 inches, but if you want it exact, just mark 3 inches in. Now if you're a bigger size, you want to mark more allowance so that the flay you get is going to be exactly like mine. But if you are my size or below my size, 3 inches is okay. Now to get your crotch point, after my hip point, the next point is my crotch point. To get your crotch point, all you have to do is place the tape from the front waistline to the back waistline like this, and divide the number you get by 2. Then for the sake of your band, minus 2 inches or 2.5. So I'll go in and mark my crotch point, which is 11 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark my crotch point. Now, so when I add my 2 inches band, my crotch point becomes 30 inches, which is exactly what I got while measuring from the front waistline to the back waistline. So now I'm just going to go ahead and divide my round waist by 4, and then I'll mark this down on the waistline. And the allowance I'm adding is 1/2 inch. So on my waistline, the allowance I'm just going to add is 1/2 inch. Now the next thing for me to do is divide my round hip by 4. So I'll divide my round hip and then I'll mark that down on my hip line. And the allowance I'll be adding on my hip is 2 inches. So that's the extra allowance after marking my actual measurement divided by 4. The extra allowance is 2 inches. And now for on my waist, on the waistline, I'm just going to go in by 1.5 for the shaping. Now to be able to get the shaping on the waist, I'll mark 1.5 after the 3 inches allowance we left. So after marking this, I have to replace this back on my waist. So I'll mark 1.5 extra as allowance because I'm replacing the 1.5 I marked in for shaping. Now I am going to connect that shaping to the hip line like this, to the hip point like this, and then we're done with this part. Now I can go ahead and replace my 1.5. So go ahead and replace, after marking your shaping, go ahead and replace the measurements back on your waist. It's like when we take that, after taking the dart, you have to replace. Now I'll come to my hip and connect the points, my hip line to the waistline. Now on my crotch points, I'll be marking my round lap divided by 2. So I'll divide the round lap measurement by 2, and then I'll mark this down on the crotch points. And to be able to get the crotch well, the curve on the crotch, I'll add 2 inches to this. I always add 2 inches to my trouser. Now that I have added the 2 inches, I'll connect this with the curve to the hip line. So you can use your curve ruler, you can use your hand. Just make sure you get a curve at this point. You can freestyle it and just make dots till you get to your hip line, and then you connect. So now I need to know the my middle point, the middle point of the trouser. What I will do is place my tape on the crotch line like this and find out what I have, or confirm the measurement I have, or divide that measurement by 2. So I got 16 inches, and then I divided the number by 2. I got 8 inches. Now I'll go ahead and mark this 8 inches from after the 3 inches line. You know, the 3 inches has nothing to do with the actual measurement. So after the line, I'm just going to mark the middle point, 8 inches. So to get the round base, just go ahead and measure out how wide you want your A-line palazzo to be at the base, at the length. So go ahead and find out what you want. And now, whatever number you get, you divide that number by 2. So I want mine to be 20 inches. I want it to be as wide as 20 inches. So I'll divide that number by 2. And then after dividing by 2, I got 10 inches. Now from the middle point, I'll mark 10 inches to the left and then 10 inches to the right, like this. So I'm just going to mark 10 inches to the left like this, and then 10 inches to the right. From the middle point, make sure you find out the middle point first, and then from the middle point, now you see we have marked into the allowance we left on the pattern paper. Just like when you do your lapel or when you're taking your break point, you know, just come out extra. Now that allowance, you can see that we have we've marked into the allowance. Now just connect the point now to the 10 inches now to the crotch point, and then I'll connect the other 10 inches to the crotch point on the other side like this. So I'll be using my long ruler for this.
I'm ready to find there's something special about your love. I'm gonna make you mine. There's something special.
So like I said, if you're using elastic, you just connect it straight like this, and you don't connect it to the waist measurement. You just use the hip measurement on the waist, and that is it for the elastic. If you're using elastic. But if you're using a band, just go ahead and do exactly what I just did. And now it's time for me to cut. I'll just go ahead and cut the part I don't need on the pattern, so I can place this on the fresh pattern and draft out the back pattern. I hope this was very easy for the beginners. I hope you find this very easy. Now I have a fresh brown paper here. I'm just going to place this the front part on the fresh pattern to draft out my back. Now the back, all I have to do is add 1.5 inch on all points. So I'm just going to place the tape and mark 1.5 inch on all points. That is it for the back. Very easy. Where the work is drafting the front pattern. Once you're done with the front pattern, making the back is just adding 1.5 inch on all. Now I'll just make sure that the crotch points on the front pattern and the back pattern sits on the same line like this before I go ahead and add the 1.5 inch on all points. So I marked 1.5 each from the crotch, and I make sure it sits on the same line. And now I'm just marking the rest 1.5 inch on all points. I'll just keep marking like this, and you're marking this on one side, that's the crotch side, where you have your curve on the crotch. That is the only place you're adding this allowance. So now once I was done, I'll just go ahead and cut out the part I don't need, and that is it for the back piece. So if you want to, what I'm going to do is cut out the zip allowance on the back piece on my fabric, and that is all I'll do. And that will be 1 inch extra on the waist to the hip line. I'll just add 1 inch extra from the waist to the hip line. That's on the back pattern. Now creating pockets, I'm just going to show you guys on the pattern, and then I'll show you guys on the fabric. Now creating the pattern, I'll go in by 1 inch from this side. I'll place the tape, go in by 1 inch on the waist part, and then I'll come down by 6.5 inches. Now this is for your hands to be able to move freely in the pocket. Now I'll just connect both points together with the curve like this. If you have a curve ruler, or you can use your hands, just connect with the curve like this, and this is how you create your pockets. But then I'll be showing you guys another way how you do this on the fabric. Now I have my fabric here, and this is crepe. For those that always ask, this is crepe, and it's folded into two. So go ahead and fold your fabric into two if you're using a pattern. And for those that were using their fabric already, you've already drafted out yours and cut it out, so you're done. So for us using the pattern, let's go ahead and fold the fabric into two and place the pattern. Now you guys remember that I don't have my full length here, so I'm just going to cut out the actual length on the fabric. I want it to be 47 inches long, so I'm going to make sure I cut out 47 inches. Now just placing my book on the pattern to hold it down to the fabric so it doesn't move while I cut. If you don't have, you should have pins. If you don't have pins, now this is the next thing you can place on your pattern to your fabric.
There's something special about your love.
And once I was done cutting, this is the front piece of the trouser, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the back piece just exactly as I did on the front piece. I'll cut it out. I'll be cutting the back piece on the camera, like I'll be cutting this off the camera. Now to shaping the front, I'm just going down by 1 inch from this side. That's where you have the curve for the crotch. I'll go down by 1 inch, and then I'll go in by 3 inches like this, and then I'll connect 3 inches here, and then I'll connect both points together and cut. This is just to make the front to bring it down a bit, to drop it by 1 inch a bit. That's on the front, to give it that U shape for the waist, the front waist. I'm just going to cut that part out, and this is the front piece. Two is divided into two. You guys, this is another way you can create your pockets. I have my fabrics folded into two, and these fabrics are for the pockets, for the two sides of the pocket, the left and the right hand. And now the width of this fabric after folding it into two is 8 inches. That means I have 16 inches worth of fabric. Folded into two is 8 inches, and the length is 11 inches. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inch in on the open edge of the fabric, not the closed edge. I'll mark 1.5 inch in, and then I'll mark down 6.5 inches, still on the open edges or the open edge. I'll mark down 6.5 inches, and then I'll go ahead and connect both points together. Remember, that is what we did on the pattern, but this is the easiest way. You can just make it on the pocket fabric and then trace this on the front piece. You'll see what I'm saying.
I'm wanting you. I need to have your love and darling, 'cause I wanna be with you.
So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Remember, before cutting, make sure you're cutting on just one side of the fabric like this, not so just make sure you open this up before you cut, and you're cutting on one side. And when you fold it back into two, this is what you get. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and duplicate or replicate and place this right side or wrong side facing wrong side, so you don't cut on the same side like this. Now I'll just place one piece of the front piece, or place it to the right side facing, that is the right side facing me, and then I'll bring the pocket that is meant for it, the fabric of the pocket that is meant for it, and this is it. I'm just going to place that part we just created, the 1.5 and the 6 inches points, and then we're connected and we've got the curve. I'll place it like this, making sure my pocket fabric is facing it right side and the fabric is facing right side. So I'll trace this part with my scissors, I'll cut it out, and then I'll go sew. So I'll go sew this. I'll do this on the other piece of the front piece, the second piece, and then once I am done doing that, this is what I have. This part is already sewn by 1/4 inch. I'm just going to iron this like this. I'll open it up and iron, and then I'll be using my hemming gum to hold that part together. So this is how I basically make my trousers, both straight cut, boot cuts, palazzo. This is how I make it. So this is my hemming gum. I'm just going to place this between the trouser piece and the pocket piece, and then I'll iron in like this. Most people like to run stitch on this part. I just like to use my hemming gum. I don't like to see stitches on my pockets, so that is why I do this with the hemming gum. And once I was done, this is what I have. Now this is the pockets, but then the pocket is not yet closed. So I'll just go ahead and sew the base of the pockets. So I'll sew it like this by 1/2 inch. And once I was done sewing, this is what I have. And the next thing for me to do is attach one of the back piece to one of the front piece, and then I'll make sure I sew that part in and hold it before sewing the back piece to the to this piece. This is the back piece. I'll place it right side facing right side. Always remember to do that. Know the right side of the fabric and know the wrong side. Indicates. I'll sew by 1/2 inch, and then I'll sew this side by 1 inch. And this is it. So this is one leg of the trouser, and then this is another leg of the trouser, both with the pockets. And now the next step for me to do is join the two leg of the piece like this. I'll make sure I place the crotch points together like this. Make sure the lines are together, and then I'll go join. Now to cut your band should be your round waist, and then go ahead and add 4 to 5 inches allowance to that. So if your round waist is 32, you add 5 inches, then you're cutting out fabric of 37 inches. So just add enough allowance so that you, after sewing your band to your trouser piece, and then there is more, any remaining, you just cut that out. So it's better for you to be safe than sorry. Now I have my band cut out. Width is 5 inches, so 5 inches is the width, and I'm going to iron 1/2 inch in on the top and on the base like this. I'll just keep ironing 1/2 inch like this, so that when I fold, my band will be 2 inches wide. So 5 inches the width, iron 1/2 inch on the top and on the base, and then fold like this after you're done ironing. And now the band width is 2 inches. Now when you match this on your trouser piece, it makes your crotch the exact figure you got.
There's something special about your love.
Now once I was done joining, the next thing for me to do is join the band to the trouser piece. Now I need to mark my zip points. I'll mark where the zip is going to stop, and then I'll go ahead and use my seam ripper to open up the back, because I'll be sewing the zip to the back, so I have to open it up to the where the zip is going to stop before I attach my band and then attach my zip. So now I'll just go ahead and sew the band. Once I was done opening this with my seam ripper, I'll just go sew my band from the wrong side and then turn it to the right side. So I'll place the band to the wrong side of the trouser piece, and then after sewing I'll turn it like this to the right side, and this is what it looks like. This is so beautiful, guys. My camera is not even doing justice to how beautiful this outfit came out. Like, I'm really happy. Now the next thing for me to do is just attach my zip. This is my pocket, me flexing my pocket on camera. I was just so happy with the outcome. You guys, please let me know if your outcome came out really nice, so just like mine, or even better. Let us know in the comment section, or you can send me a DM on my Instagram, or you can email me. Please do that. Now this is a zip. I'm going to attach that, and you guys, that is how I was able to recreate the grass feed A-line that was requested. And I love this outfit. Like, you guys made me recreate something I've always wanted. Like, I've always wanted a wide leg palazzo, so I can wear this anytime, any day. I'm a sucker for wide legs. So thank you guys for watching, and you can see the wrap top video available on the link in the description box below. So if you want to recreate this exact piece, you have the 2 videos available. Thank you guys for watching. Love and light to you, and I'll be seeing you guys on my next video. Bye.